it was mid-late 2019, before COVID. I was thinking about something, but I needed a hobby, needed a project to do over the winter time. I always like having something to build. And I was looking for something to build or spend my time with over the coming winter. And I thought about building a model of a covered bridge. My name is Dana Gehman, I shouldn't say recent, but a resident of Marysville. And I'm here to answer questions and talk about this model that I built over the Pottersburgh Bridge. Born and raised in southeast Pennsylvania, Bucks County, and an area that's very thick with covered bridges. And my hometown had 2 covered bridges, still does. They're very proud of their covered bridges. And I went past one of them pretty much every day of my life, back and forth from school and pretty much anywhere in and out of town. You went past the South of Percy covered bridge. Ended up here in Ohio, in Union County in Marysville, and lo and behold, there's covered bridges here. And they're very proud of their covered bridges too. So I've always had an interest. I'm not an expert on covered bridges, but I've always admired them. My older brother had built a model of a sailboat, a scale sailboat, because he built the real thing, the full-size sailboat. I always admired his effort at building that model sailboat from scratch. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll build a bridge. And started visiting the Pottersburgh Bridge because it's so close. And the more I thought about it, that's I would go to sleep at night thinking about how to do this or how would I do that before I even started it. How would I even approach this thing? And it started coming together in my head. I think I know how to start it. I think I know how to finish it. And I actually have the email. It was like January 17th of 2020 that I reached out to Steve Stolte. Didn't know who he was, but I saw his name on the historical marker there at the bridge. So I thought, I wonder if he's still around. So I Googled his name. Lo and behold, he's county commissioner. So I just started cutting a couple pieces of wood, gluing them together, and I thought I'll reach out to Steve. And he was able to come over, and he hooked me up with some old blueprints of the bridge, which was a great help. And so I really, at that point in time, I kind of knew that, okay, now I know how I'm going to do this, and I had a confidence level that I think I can finish this, not just give up on it. It started out really as kind of scavenged wood. I work at Airstream and in the R&D engineering department, and at the time, one of our model makers was building some patterns for some parts that we were going to have tooled up. And I think it's called sweet pine, this pattern of wood that he buys. And I'd literally go through the dumpster and pick up the pieces that fell off the table saw that weren't usable for him. And I literally scavenged pieces out of the boxes at work and brought them home. So sweet pine, and then I ended up going to Lowe's and buying pine there. And wherever I could find some drop-offs, whatever that would work. There are tongue depressors in there, so who knows what that wood is or where it comes from, but there are tongue depressors in there. There are popsicle sticks in there. Nowadays you go to Lowe's and buy a piece of #1 clear pine, and it's marked product of New Zealand. So there's wood from New Zealand in this, from probably all around the world, I guess. So but primarily it's pine, but it's all stuff that I scavenged or just bought off the shelf. Basically, a bridge starts with its girders or its trusses. So think of this wall here as a truss. You might see a truss underneath a bridge or inside of a roof structure. So this whole wall here is made up of an upper cord and a lower cord. They have various tension and compression ribs here. And that was probably built laying down on cribs, and then they somehow with mules or horses moved it over the river, put it onto the abutments that they had to make before that, raised them vertical and probably supported them temporarily. And then the same thing on both sides of the bridge. And then once you have that, I'm just surmising here, but then you can then attach the beams below the deck of the bridge, and that you're starting to build kind of a box assembly now. And then you start putting the cross beams and the rafters and the ridge pole for the roof, And but the main structure is really coming from these two longitudinal trusses of the bridge. What was kind of hard for me to, because I couldn't visualize them, because these, like the shed ends here, and maybe come around here. So on the finished side, of course, they're finished, and they're really not visible what's inside here. So fortunately, the blueprints that Steve was able to share me, and there was numerous blueprints or numerous studies made over the years of the bridge and the various bridges in the area. So the blueprints are a little bit different from time to time, but I was able to kind of surmise and take educated guesses at what is the structure inside these sheds. So did that. I mentioned that the windows were added after the fact, and we don't know why they were added, but they were added after the fact. They're really kind of the signature, I think, of the bridge, because not every covered bridge, not many covered bridges have these. And that was kind of fun, because those were another set of like little window or wood trusses or wood arches and wood rafters needed to be built along the way. You can tell here by the shingles, just the fact that they're just kind of rough cut, as if they're rough hewn, but just rough cut on my bandsaw. And then I put them in a cookie sheet of stain, let them soak up the stain, and they just, the different colors give you the effect that these are not manufactured, bought off of a store shelf at a hobby shop or something like that. I can lift it up here a little bit. I kind of was toying with, what do I do as far as the setting? Do I want to try and build or model an actual landscaped setting like you might see with a model train set or whatever? But I couldn't figure out in my mind how to do that right, how to not make it look like it was carpet or paper or grass or something. So I thought, well, I'd rather have the bridge be the center of attention and use the base and the abutments just as they're there to serve their function, but they're not part of the bridge design, not part of the bridge model. So I left them kind of generic. I'll put this back. I can turn it upside down here as well. You can kind of see the under part of the bridge. There are some pieces on the model here that, if you look closely, I'll have to try and find one and point it out if I can find it even. Why is that there? I don't know, but it's on the actual bridge. So maybe at one point in time they were replacing a beam or replacing a wood member, and they nailed up or screwed up a board to help hold the thing in place and left that board there. If it's on there, it's on here as well. My wife is she loves to quilt, and I think her skills are better than she would admit to. But we took numerous pictures along the way and decided to make them into a quilt. So it kind of represents some of our families on there, and some of the original drawings that we reproduced onto fabric, and she sewed into this quilt. So it's kind of a me and my wife endeavor. We both kind of got into it, and I put my family, since we have this covered bridge shared joke, so I kind of made it neat. Other than that, not sure what more to say. I hope people enjoy it. I know I enjoyed building it.